I recently had an opportunity to explore North America's last frontier, the fjordlands of British Columbia. Not far up the road from Vancouver lies a land made of legends. Fjords as grand as Norway's, landscape as rugged as Alaska's Inside Passage. If you are an adventurous viewer who ventures farther than the average tourist, this video is made for you. Officially called the Sunshine Coast of Canada, BC's southern coastline is home to the deepest, grandest fjords of North America, and the nice part is only 2 hours away from downtown Vancouver. And that means you can easily visit this area on a weekend or a day trip. We're headed into Jervis Inlet today. A beautiful day on the Sunshine Coast of British Columbia. Glassy smooth water, glacier mountains behind us. What more can you ask for? Getting to the Sunshine Coast does require some planning, but it's not hard. Book a reservation in advance on BC Ferry's website and skip the line. Bring your car along for a scenic 45-minute journey across Howe Sound Fjord. Sit back, relax, enjoy some fresh coffee and breakfast on the ship, and take in that beautiful BC sunrise. The Sunshine Coast starts here at Langdale and goes up north to the city of Lund. Jervis Inlet bisects this coastline as halfway between Langdale and Lund. If you're coming from Vancouver, you catch the BC Ferry at Horseshoe Bay Terminal. The drive from Langdale Ferry Terminal to Jervis Inlet is incredibly scenic. On this part of the Sunshine Coast, you drive through the First Nation town of Sechelt. Reporting from Seychelles. Now home to folks who want a more rural lifestyle close to Vancouver, Sechelt has prime coastlines with expansive views across the Strait of Georgia to Vancouver Island and crystal clear waters teeming with marine life. A little more driving and we arrive at the port of Egmont, where we catch our charter boat into Jervis Inlet.
Probably one of the most beautiful in North America, on par with anything you'd find in Alaska, on par with many things you'd find in Norway and Sweden as well.
Jervis Inlet, over 2,200 feet deep, or 670 meters for our Canadian viewers, is the deepest fjord in North America. Jervis Inlet is 55 miles or 90 kilometers long. It takes our boat 90 minutes to traverse its full length. On the way to Princess Louisa Inlet at the head of the fjord, we spotted 12 bald eagles and Native American petroglyphs from hundreds of years ago.
And you get in closer and it starts to change a bit. It doesn't look like fish anymore. It looks like a little stick then.
If you look closely, stick figures made of red ink is in the center of the screen. And here's another famous petroglyph. This guy appears pretty excited. George Vancouver traveled up here as he searched for the Northwest Passage. Today, this area is barely inhabited and only accessible by boat.
I think it's the fact that as an American, you don't really know much about the Sunshine Coast. You come over here, you're not really sure what to expect.
It's unlikely this region will ever see any cars. It's a special feeling having exclusive access to untouched BC fjordland.
Tend to be straight-sided and relatively flat in the bottom, like Yosemite.
Yeah.
So this is just a big Yosemite. Yosemite's a little toy on the side of the hill. It's about 1,500 feet deep through most of the length of Jervis Inlet. That 2,000-foot section in Egmont's the deepest bit. But 1,500 through most of its length is a pretty fair number to use for the trench in the middle of the inlet.
If you want to skip ahead to where we hike inside the famous Princess Louisa Inlet, click this timestamp.
There's a bald eagle's nest on that tree to the left.
To spot the eagle, just look at the center of the screen and I'll zoom into it.
The seals jumping.
Yeah, it's a sea lion.
Here's a glacier fun fact I learned on this tour. Unlike a typical shoreline, fjords are deepest inland, where most of the former glaciers' weight built up. Glaciers form in the mountains and slowly melt as they get towards the coastline, meaning most of the glacier's erosive power is centered towards the inland portion of the fjord. An hour and a half into our cruise, we reached the fabled Princess Louisa Inlet, the most scenic portion of the fjord. Entering this arm of Jervis Inlet requires a boat to cross the treacherous 9-knot Malibu Rapid tidal current. Fjord walls rise even steeper here in Princess Louisa Inlet. The bottleneck here at the entrance forces ocean water to rush past the Malibu Resort to the left. Malibu Resort has a secluded and scenic atmosphere and was popular with famous people, including actor John Wayne and President John F. Kennedy. Today, it is owned by Young Life as a Christian camp.
The big totem is in front of a general meeting room. That totem was a gift of welcome. It was carved by the chief of the Strathclyde village, given to Hamilton.
Aviation mogul Hamilton was one of the first developers to see the potential of this area. While most of Hamilton's ideas never came to be, one of the more interesting proposed idea was a summer ski lodge at the glacier at the top of the fjord. At the end of Princess Louisa Inlet, we see the giant 6,000-foot granite walls that dwarfs Yosemite's El Capitan. At the base of the cliff is famous Chatterbox Falls. On the walls itself is the highest waterfall in North America, James Bruce Falls, over 2,700 feet tall.
Half dome. There we go. Well, Canadian half dome. Canadian half dome. Right behind us.
One Eye Peak, a half-dome look-alike granite mountain, rising 6,000 feet high straight out of the fjord, is known as the protector of Princess Louisa Inlet.
Where are we?
Princess Louisa Sound?
Another relic of the last ice age. You can imagine the sheer size of the ice sheet that had to create this glacial valley. At the top of Princess Louisa Inlet at Chatterbox Falls.
Places like this are worth coming back to. There's more to see here than meets the eye. Maybe you rent a boat and come in, maybe you do something else. Very hard to tell exactly for what you'll do for sure. You're in a world where you're one of like 3 people in this type of park. You have it to yourself. If you put this as the national park banner and anywhere else in the United States, you would have had 15 people in strollers here. You would have had crying babies, and you wouldn't be able to enjoy the nature of it.
Due to the amount of rainfall the Pacific Northwest gets, a lot of the vegetation here is typical of a temperate rainforest. There is no shortage of moss and fern anywhere you look.
Feels like you're walking on a cloud, but you're killing ferns at the same time.
And here's a cool video of an actual ice fall. Time flies when you're having fun. After an hour and a half on land hiking around Princess Louisa Inlet, it was time to get back to reality and head back to Vancouver.
When you're in America, you grow up knowing about Hawaii, grow up knowing about Alaska, some of the things about Europe, but British Columbia is still kind of a big mystery. Many of us know Vancouver. A lot of us know Whistler, Banff, and Jasper is what Canada has to offer. But you come over here, you're checking out these inlets and fjords, and they're every bit as beautiful, if not considerably more beautiful.
We just got out of Princess Louisa Inlet and we're in Jervis Inlet itself.
The experience of being in a fjord never ceases to amaze me.
Beautiful sea level trip with snow-capped mountains on each side. Promises to be a very scenic day.
The smell of seawater in an otherwise alpine environment feels like you're in the mountain, but you're at sea level the whole time. Because the fjord landscape is so beautiful, I'm going to leave in 30 seconds of uncut clips. It's hard to believe these grand fjords so close to Vancouver are not more popular. Regular travelers flock to Norway and Alaska for fjordland, but now you know you should come to Vancouver and see equally majestic inlets that have not been trampled by tourists. I want to say thanks to the folks at Sunshine Coast Tour in Egmont for leading this amazing trip. I hope this video gave you a good idea of what it's like exploring BC's Sunshine Coast. If you liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Be sure to turn notifications on so you don't miss the next great trip.
This beautiful is most American national